what it made me realize is that we are really underprepared for relationships and marriage.
What's up, real ones? Welcome back to the Relationship Podcast, where we're bringing the real back to relationships.
Yes, sir.
I'm Asha Steele.
And I'm Devin Steele.
And we're so excited that you guys are tuning in today with us.
Yeah, because we got a good one for y'all today. You know, one thing I can say about social media is whenever we may be struggling to come up with a topic for an episode because we're just trying to push so much content that sometimes it gets hard to come up with good topics, right? You can go on social media and find something.
Yeah.
Because if it's being talked about on social media, I think that it needs to be discussed on this platform. Like, people want to talk about it. So we got a really good episode for y'all today with a really important topic. But before we get into that, we got a couple of announcements we need to make.
Yes, you guys. So this Thursday, February 10th, we will be announcing the winner of our Valentine's Day giveaway. So make sure you tune into our Instagram so that you can find out if you are a lucky couple winning your special romantic dinner for two for Valentine's Day.
That's what I can say I love about you as well, because you're all about other people. Like, for you to sacrifice your Valentine's Day gift and me taking you out to dinner for Valentine's Day so that we can afford to help out another couple.
You're so funny.
I admire that about you. Like, not a lot of people will do that. So we got to clap it up for Asha one time because...
He's coming with the jokes already.
What you mean?
You know, I'm still celebrating Valentine's Day.
We want to celebrate it inside this house. We can cook something together. Maybe go pick up some fast food. But as far as
say that because you don't want to go nowhere because of COVID.
No, that's not true. But we wanted to make sure we're able to send other people out for a 5-star dinner for Valentine's Day. I mean, I can't do both. Can't do both. So,
sir, goodbye. Y'all don't pay him no mind. He always want to be a comedian.
Last week too, another announcement. Y'all not real, because we told y'all that if we slip and we don't give an update about our weight loss journey, that y'all need to hold us accountable. And we realized we did not update y'all on our weight loss journey, and not one person reached out to us was like, yo, what y'all doing?
They right with us, probably.
Exactly. Y'all messing up too. So y'all like, if we don't say nothing, they won't be like, well, where you at on your journey? Yeah. So we're going to update y'all this week. I'll go first. I'm currently down 19 pounds, 4% body fat. So I'm almost there to the point where, you know, Too Sexy for My Shirt is going to be my anthem. No Future and Drake. So I'm about to be taking it off. So if you a man and you follow me on my Instagram, you might as well stop following me now, because once this dad bod is going, it's a wrap for all y'all.
Y'all ladies might as well stop following me.
No.
But no, you guys, so I am down going into February, 9 pounds, you know. Clap it up for me, yes, because it's a struggle. Yeah, because the girl like to eat. But we're going to stay focused, stay on track, keep it going. Hopefully we get another 9-10 pounds this month, maybe 20, maybe 15.
Jesus. Let's, come on now. Come on now. We hit 9 last month. How you just going to double at this month?
Listen.
See that be your no, absolutely not. No, okay? Just lift your hand up in the air. You don't gotta reach. No. See, that be your problem. You be setting these huge goals, and when you don't get nowhere near, you be like, man, I knew this wasn't working. I lost 10 pounds, but I wanted 20. I knew this wasn't working.
I mean, realistically, if I think about it, I feel like the balance of, you know what, just nix that, because we have a short month in February and Valentine's
Day is coming. Excuse me. It's only short. No, you don't.
Chocolate covered strawberries.
They got sugar-free chocolate.
No, I need a nice meal. So yeah, we going to stick to probably like 10 pounds this month. Let's get to 10.
I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you your chocolate. I'm gonna head to Dollar Tree tomorrow to make sure that they're not all going. But I'm gonna get you your chocolate. But that meal that you talking about?
Are you moving right along, you guys?
I didn't got
that.
We
have another announcement.
No, I don't think. I think that's it. But I just want you to hear me out.
I can't.
But no. Keeping it real moment, man. Listen, to enter our Valentine's Day dinner giveaway, one of the things that we had people do was to leave just a review on the podcast to see how y'all feeling, like if we're going in the right direction, because we basically feed off of y'all. Like, we started this podcast not for us, but for this community. So we look and we read the reviews that we get from you guys so that we know if we have to make certain changes in the podcast. And I came across a review that I just wanted to read real quick. So it says, Devin and Asha Steele are real life couple goals. When they say they are bringing the real back to relationships, they literally mean it. This will be me and my husband's 5th year of marriage, and no, it hasn't been all peaches and cream, as the two of them have already mentioned. There will be many hiccups and circumstances that may be questionable in a relationship. However, keeping God in the midst and keeping it real is what makes it last. We are currently participating for the 2nd year in the row of the 28 Days of Real Love Challenge. Clap it up for everybody who is participating in our 28 Days of Real Love Challenge. Says, I don't know what it is about the challenge, but hopefully it ends with a little Arya. Oh, I didn't even see that part. A little Arya running around, laugh out loud. Thanks again for all the videos, tips, suggestions, comments, Bible study, fitness motivation, and all that the two of you provide to help keep our real relationships, lives real. That's what's up, man.
Yes.
Like, when we go in there and we see reviews like that, I was telling Asha, like, it makes it all worth it. Like, being able to carve out time in our schedule to get this done, which is hectic sometimes, but when you read the feedback, it's like, this is what we're doing it for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So shout out to everybody who leaves their reviews, whether it's on the podcast or just people who participate in the conversation on our podcast page. Because one of the things that we always wanted to do was to create a community. Like, again, we do not want this to be all about me and Asha, trying to get people to look up to us and aspire to have a marriage like us, because we have our issues just like everybody else. But we want this to be about the community, a safe space where people can come and really just talk about the things that are maybe going bad in their relationship, so that we can all chime in and help that couple get through it, and definitely come in to talk about the things that you are doing well in your relationship, so we can all learn from that and possibly utilize that inside of our relationship. So shout out to everybody that's doing that as well.
Yes. So moving right along, you guys, to our message. Our message from a real one. Okay. And it says, I have a question. Me and my wife are going through a breakup and she wants space. I told her it's best if she goes back to her mom's so we can have space between us. Should I push the issue of her moving all her things ASAP, all in capital letters, ASAP after this and ask for the key back, or how soon is too soon for all of this?
I don't think there's a right time for it. I think you're just throwing wood on a fire because you hurt. Right? In the message, it mentioned how she wants a break. You didn't say we want a break or that you want a break. She wants a break, and it seems as though you're trying to do things to get underneath her skin. Like, you're trying to tell her to go to her mom's house. You're trying to tell her to pack up all her stuff, not because you really want her to, but maybe you're not comfortable really expressing how you really feel. Like, coming to her and let her know, like, look, I don't want this to happen. This is hurting me. That we can be in each other's presence and work through this. So it seems like your pain, you're turning into anger and bitterness, when you should really just sit down and be like, look, if you need your space, I respect that, but I'd rather us try to work it out together. And whatever it is I need to do to make this space, this environment feel safe for you, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically, all that, I'm willing to do. But to throw wood on the fire by saying pack your stuff, get out, go to your mom's, it's not going to work out the way that you want it to work out. Sometimes as men, we try to act like, things don't bother us, right? Instead of just opening up and just saying, yo, this is how I feel and this is what I want to do.
Yeah, I think we would definitely need more to the story to have a full understanding of, you know, what should be happening, or maybe, like they said, if it's too soon or what the case may be. But like you said, I feel like it's probably because you're hurt, so it's like you're reacting out of anger instead of you being rational about the situation. And we talk about all the time that needing space in a relationship, needing space in your marriage is not necessarily a bad thing, right? It's about how you can communicate what you're going to do with that time and that space so that your relationship or whatever issues that you're going through, you can fix and get through them effectively, right? And hopefully that space will allow for you to grow so that you're not growing apart, but you're still going to grow together. So I think being able to have a conversation to really understand, okay, why is she wanting to have space? What does that look like? What is the time frame of that? What needs to be done within that time for her to feel like, okay, that space was helpful, and for you to feel like, okay, I understand why you needed that, so let's move forward. But y'all definitely have to have a conversation and understand that it doesn't necessarily mean the end. When you say things like, oh, move all your stuff out, it's kind of like you're like sealing on there, like, okay, we're done, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean I'm done with you, or this is over, or this is the end by someone needing space. You have to have a clear understanding of what it is that she needs space from. What does she need that time for? What does she need to clear her head about? And having that understanding can help you be of assistance to her, whether it is, okay, like Devin said, creating that environment within your home where she feels like she has that space that she needs, or she does need to remove herself from the house. But I think it really boils down to having a very heartfelt, open conversation to see what is going on and how it can be fixed.
Yeah, and you can take that time out to really understand yourself.
Yeah.
Right? What do you need? Because a lot of times in relationships, it's reciprocal. Like what we're giving off is what we're getting. And if y'all are both giving off things like bad vibes, things that you don't really need, you're getting that back one another. So it's important for you to understand what she needs from this relationship and from you, but it's also important for you to understand what you need from her and from the relationship. And y'all need to sit down and have an honest conversation like, yo, this is what I need. This is what I'm expecting. Can you do these things? Right? So, I mean, like Asha said, we need a lot more information, but just from the message alone, it sounds like you don't really mean those things, but you're trying to hurt her so she can experience the pain that you may be feeling right now. So, you know, hopefully y'all are able to work through this because like we said before, man, I was just telling Asha the other day, like now, like when I really reflect back on my life and I think about this podcast and the purpose behind it, like I truly want to be able to give people insight, the information on how to really make their families work and their marriages last. The point of this is not for us to come off to be experts, but to just, like I said, create an environment where we're all trying to learn. Because the biggest, like I faced a lot of things in my life, but probably the biggest thing that like really hurt was when my parents separated, when they got a divorce. And then my life just started going downhill. So I know the impact of a marriage not working. So it's like we're trying to do everything we can to give people the information to make this work. So if y'all can make this work, sit down and really put in the work. Because you may think that the grass is greener on the other side, but like people say, that may be turf.
Okay.
Or they may water their grass more than you water yours. So if you take the same bad habits that got you in this place into a new relationship, it's going to give you the same outcome. So do whatever you have to do, especially as the man, as the leader of your family. Do what is necessary in order to get things back on track, because that's your responsibility to do that. So like I said, I hope that y'all can work this thing out, but we always going to be here because we champion relationships. We champion marriages over here.
Yes, you guys. So getting into today's topic, we are discussing my spouse loves my children more than me. Okay.
So let me tell y'all how we came up with this topic. So, you know, we was on social media and there was a post. I'm not sure who this person is, no disrespect, but her name is Heather Rose. And she had posted something that said, I just seen this meme that says, I want to be my man's daughter. And I felt that in my soul. And I saw a lot of people coming at her like, yo, what are you talking about? Like, that sounds crazy. This, that, and the third. And I don't know who she is, but I went to her page to find out. And it looked like she had deactivated her account. And maybe it's because so many people had crazy things to say. Mm-hmm. But I had wrote in the comment section like, yo, I get what she's saying. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, this is a real thing in relationships and marriages where people are dissatisfied in their relationship because they feel like their partner or their spouse is giving more love and affection to their kids. Mm-hmm. So although some people may have misinterpreted, you know what I mean, and read it the wrong way, I understood the message that she was saying in that. And, you know, even people were writing me, like I said, majority, you know, agreed, but even people were writing me like, what are you talking about? That sounds crazy. This, that, and the third. And what it made me realize is that we are really underprepared for relationships and marriage. Because the fact that so many people were coming at her and there were some people that were saying things to me like, this sounds crazy. It's like, this is real thing. This is a real thing. The literature is out there, right? The research is out there that shows that a lot of times this happens in marriage. After you have a kid, you feel like the relationship now becomes child focused and the child gets most of the attention. Mm-hmm. And we are not understanding that. Yeah. And one thing I've always been taught, like if you want to have success in anything, the first thing you have to do is project the obstacles that you may face later down the road so that you can prepare yourself to overcome that or you can avoid them altogether. And because we're so ignorant of the obstacles that come in a relationship, in a marriage, we're not preparing ourselves for it so that when we do face it in a marriage, it's like, oh, this is not supposed to happen. I give up on this. Not understanding that this is normal.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are, especially on social media, are very closed-minded to other people's experiences. And like when you had showed me that message, it resonated with me. Although the wordage, you could look at it like sideways, right, and be like, maybe could it be worded differently? But I mean, she said she saw the meme, right? It's not like it was her words for people to attack her to say that she, you know, saw it and it resonated with her. Right. And so I don't understand why we are so closed-minded and not being able to understand, or even not even if we don't understand, just to hear someone else's experience, right, you know, and to be able to validate that. And I say that because we actually had a conversation about this 2 separate times, to be honest. With Leah and with Arya, and it was both of us experiencing that. So it was interesting because when we first started dating, of course, for those who don't know our story, Devin had already had a child, Leah, and so of course I knew that going into our relationship, and so I
ain't hide it from you.
No, I will hope not. But so going into our relationship, it wasn't really so much of an issue in the beginning, right? I knew what I was getting myself into, dating a man that had a child and everything. And I knew how I wanted to, you know, embrace her and the role that I wanted to play. It wasn't until when Leah had got diagnosed and everything was going on, and we, like we talked about it on the podcast before, were very distant, right? Which is, I mean, given for the situation that we were in, understandable. But it was like we were just strangers living together in a sense. We weren't emotionally in touch with each other. We weren't physically in touch with each other. Like it was like we were like shell of individuals just there. And it wasn't until that point that I had felt that, because it was just like I seen, of course, all the love that he was pouring into his child, especially with her going through her sickness and with the diagnosis and the possibilities of things that could happen. And so I seen how much he was pouring into her, the love that he was giving, even more than he was before, because it's just like, I don't know what could happen, so I'm gonna give my all. And I was just like, I felt like I wasn't even getting an ounce right? So when I saw that, when he showed me that, it was like I said, it could resonate with me because it was like, I literally felt that. It's like you want to have that feeling from your spouse. You want to have that feeling from your partner because you see, even if it wasn't something, if someone was experiencing something so extreme as, your child being diagnosed with cancer or any type of illness, you see parents pour into their children, right? Mm-hmm. It's my baby. I created this, right? Mm-hmm. I'm giving my world to my child, like we talked about on another podcast, unconditional love, because this is a part of me. And so when you do see that and you feel in your relationship that there's something lacking, if you feel that there's distance between y'all, if y'all are having y'all issues, y'all having problems, whatever the case may be, that's pulling y'all away from each other, you're going to feel like you're yearning for that love. Mm-hmm. Especially when you're in close quarters where you see the parent interacting with their child, you see how much love they're giving them, how much attention and time they're giving them. It's like you want to feel that. So I don't understand how you could not necessarily understand where that was coming from. Yeah. And you can even speak to the situation when we had Aria.
Yeah, because when I first saw that post, I thought about you. Mm-hmm. I thought about the conversation we had when you felt like you was just a fly on the wall to everything going. Like I wasn't giving you a lot of attention. And I say all the time that I made a mistake in doing that, right? Just because I didn't really know how to handle that situation. It was like Leah came before every and anything. Like it came before you. She came before you. She came before my career in the NFL. Like it was just like nothing mattered to me during that time. Although it did, but I didn't really know how to express that. Like I felt like there was so much going on. And like even after Leah went into remission, like it was hard to make that transition. It was hard for us to have those conversations because even when you brought it up, it's like I found myself being defensive. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Instead of just actually sitting down and listening and trying to understand what you were saying and try to empathize with you, do some perspective taking, and just get out of my own skin and really understand what it was like to be in your skin during that time. So that was the thing that I initially thought about. And then, I experienced it when Aria was born because me and you still hadn't fully worked through all of our issues in our marriage. Like we were still working through it. So we didn't really have that emotional connectedness. We didn't really have that intimacy that we used to have before everything happened. So when Aria was born, like seeing the way that you cared for her, seeing the way that you would just be all over her and kiss all on her, it's like, I want to see that. You know what I mean? Like I want to see that my wife really cares for our child and is that affectionate, because that's going to impact who they grow up to be. It's going to help them develop that child attachment style, right? Mm-hmm. I want to see that. But there were times where I felt left out because we used to be that close. And now I'm not getting that. Right. And instead of like sucking it up as a man and being like, you know what? Whatever. I ain't going to say nothing about it. I don't want to seem soft. It's like, nah, I love this woman. I love my child. And the only way that this can work is if we're open and we're honest about the things that we are feeling so that we can both serve each other and give each other the things that we needed. So we had to have that conversation. And then even now with the podcast, we did an episode a while ago about marital dissatisfaction after a child is born. Is like, yo, you realize you're not the only one. Right. So before we thinking like, yo, is this only us that's going through this? Because it's not being talked about, especially in our community. But when we do the research, it's like, imagine if we would have gave up. Like, nah, this ain't working for me no more. Like, she loves our child more than she loves me. Mm-hmm. This ain't even gonna work. This is not how it's supposed to be. This doesn't happen to nobody but us. But the fact that we're in this field and we're actually doing the research is like, oh, this is normal. Okay, so let's find out how we can work through this, because the answer is not to separate. The answer is not to go find love elsewhere, because the chances are it's going to happen again. So we might as well figure out how we can get through this together. So being open and honest about what we were going through helped us fix the issue.
Yeah. And I think it's so important that we did fix the issue and we had those conversations, because I feel like so many people do get defensive, right? Yeah. They do feel like, well, you know, this is my child. Of course I'm going to love them. Right. If you have a problem with it, figure it out. Go elsewhere, you know? Right. And then that's like counter defensiveness, right? Mm-hmm. Versus you realizing like that person that's feeling that way is yearning from something from you. Y'all are together. Of course, you're supposed to have this amount of love for your child, but you're supposed to have a certain amount of love as well for your spouse, for the person that you're with, your partner. So to not look at it and say, you know what, I understand where you're coming from. I understand the void and the feeling and emotions not being there. I know that there's needs that you're not getting met. And so looking at it from that perspective and understanding that, instead of getting defensive, I feel like a lot of people need to open their eyes to see that, especially with comments like, what are you talking about? Like, it's a real thing. Like, it could even
what are you talking about?
Right. Like, you can even think about it with other things, whether it be, you know, someone's work life or anything else. People are pulled in so many different ways that takes away from the love and everything that they need to be pouring into their partner. Mm-hmm. And just imagine, like I said, it's magnified with your child, because you have to make sure that you're nurturing that child. So you have to make sure their emotional needs are met. You have to make sure that whatever they need physically is met, especially if you're going through something like what we went through. You have to make sure that their health, everything that's pertaining to that, is met. So it's like so many things that goes into factoring into making sure that your child is good, that they're happy, they're healthy, they're loved, they're growing, they're just developing. But your partner needs that as well. Mm-hmm. So when we sit up there and we do get defenses and we avoid the fact that we have to be just as intentional with loving on our partner as we are with our children, it's a problem if we don't realize that.
Yeah, and a lot of it is not even intentional. Mm-hmm. There's actually this quote by a researcher. Her name is Belinda. I can't think of her last name. I know it's probably something. I don't know.
Probably something.
No, yeah, I was about to say probably something crazy, but I don't want to say that her last name is crazy. But she wrote the book Marriageology, mm-hmm. which I'm about to read soon, because I'm interested in her perspective about relationships and marriage. But her quote in there talked about how you have to be intentional after having a child, mm-hmm. right? Because she said that loving a child is like going to primary school, going to elementary school, where it's like you ain't really got no choice. Like, you gave birth to a child, you helped create a child, that attachment is normally there. Mm-hmm. But showing up for your spouse is like going to college. Like, it's a choice. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a choice you have to make. Like, nobody's forcing you to do that. There's no pull for you to do that. Right. Every day you have to wake up with the choice that I'm going to be intentional about being affectionate and intimate with my partner, mm-hmm. mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And it's so true, because that just happened out of nowhere, mm-hmm. for me and you. It's not like I recognized what I was doing with Leah. You didn't recognize what you was doing with Arya. It just happened. Mm-hmm. And if you're not creating a space in your relationship where you can sit down and talk about it, like, this thing can really be bad. It can end really bad. So let's give them some of the things that we did to help us get out of it. Obviously, we already talked about the first thing is just to have the conversation, mm-hmm. right? And I think the second thing is just to be understanding, especially for first-time parents. Yeah. Like, in your case, you're Arya's biological mom. This is your first time going through this whole process. So it was just like, you're learning. Mm-hmm. And it's important for your partner to give grace, because this is a huge change that you're going through, mm-hmm. mentally, physically, spiritually. You know, your hormones is going crazy. Like, you're just trying to get adjusted to being a mom. Yeah. And I'm getting adjusted to now having 3 ladies that I need to spread myself all out to. Mm-hmm. So it's just it's a lot.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that you could do is not being defensive or, in a sense, like, I don't know if it is petty. Mm-hmm. And I say that because when we were going through it, like you said, I was the first time.
I think she just called me petty low key, y'all.
No.
I don't know.
Talking about me.
No. I don't know. All right. You was talking about you, but I was thinking like she's searching extremely hard, so she not trying to come at me on this podcast.
No,
but
I didn't want to use the word petty. I know it's another word.
Oh, if you was talking about you can use petty. No.
It may come to me.
Petty fits.
But listen, so just not being spiteful. That's the word, spiteful.
Are you spiteful?
So in a sense, because it's just like you said, I feel like the defensiveness came and then the spitefulness came because it was, okay, initially, like you said, I had Aria. It was a new experience for me. So it's just like, of course, I want to give all my love and time and attention to her. Like, this is new to me. I want to get it right. I want to be like the perfect, air quotes, because it's no perfect, but the perfect mom. I just want to make sure that
I'm perfect.
She's good. She's good. All her needs are met. She's loved and everything like that. So I was literally pouring all of me into her all day, all night, around the clock. And so there wasn't much time or energy that I was pouring into my relationship at that time because I was just trying to get that role right because it was so new to me. And so I did, when you were bringing it up, I got defensive because it's just like, well, dang, like, this is new to me. I'm trying to get this together. I'm trying to have this understanding. And like, I felt attacked in a sense, like, I'm trying to care for a child. Like, what's the problem? And then it came, well, now you know how I felt. Right, which is the spitefulness, because it's just like, okay,
that was her words.
Made me feel like that. You made me feel like that, and now that I'm in the role where I'm having to do this, is like, you know how I felt all that time. And I think the biggest thing for you not to do is to do that, because it's not going to be helpful for you to be defensive and spiteful. You want to have an understanding of where your partner is coming from and not show that spitefulness to say, okay, well, just because you felt that or you made me feel that way, I need to make you feel that way. But it was more so like the understanding of, well, I'll put up with this. You can put up with that because I've been doing
Suck it up, boy.
Right. And so I think that's a
you
big...
You gonna say
right. That's a big no-no to do, because it's just like, you don't want to be that. You want to be... You want to be considerate of what your partner is going through, whether it being you being a first-time parent, whether it's your third child or whatever the case may be, whether your child's going through an illness, whatever, fill in the blank. If you're going through that, you want to be understanding of how your partner is feeling, because if they're seeking your love and your attention and your time, one, let's just be honest. Let's be glad that they're seeking it still from you and not from elsewhere, because a lot of times when things like that start to create, it fills that void up. And we talked about that as well on our podcast. It's like their needs are no longer being met because it's poured somewhere else. And now they're going outside to outside sources to fill those needs and voids up. Right. Mm-hmm. And so when you do that leads to other things in your relationship and your marriage, because you're not being intentional. Right. So I think being able to, one, have that conversation and have that understanding and not be defensive and not be spiteful or inconsiderate of how your partner's feeling is very important for you to do.
Yeah, I want to break something down really quick for you guys, because I think that you brought up a good point that allows me to talk about this.
Go ahead, talk your talk.
So while Asha was talking about like I would bring things to her attention, right? And she felt like she had certain beliefs about what I was doing, certain thoughts. So I would say, look, I'm not feeling like I'm getting enough attention from you right now. Mm. So then her belief would be, or her thought would be, well, I went through this in the past, so you should be able to handle this. Mm-hmm. So now that's invoking an emotion of frustration, irritation, and now your action is to be spiteful. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So there's this thing that, I really go by when I'm trying to have more of an optimistic outlook in life or in my relationships, because people who are more optimistic in their relationship, they actually have longer marriages. So what I want y'all to try to do in your relationship, like when certain challenges come up in your relationship, right? I want y'all to practice something called ABCs, which ABC stands for adversity, which are the challenges you face in your life. They determine the B, which are your beliefs. What do you believe that challenge or adversity means for you? How does it make you feel? Not an emotion, but just how does it make you feel? How does it make you think? Because then those thoughts end up making us feel certain emotions would cause our action. Mm-hmm. So like even you said that, if I come to you and I'm like, hey, Asha, I feel like I'm not getting enough attention from you. Mm-hmm. You're like, we're not being as intimate as you're being with the kids. You can then think, like you said, in a positive way, like, oh, he misses us being affectionate. Mm-hmm. He misses us being loving and caring and intimate with each other. So that makes me feel happy and love that my partner still cares about me that way or misses me. Mm-hmm. So let me do something, like take an action to make him feel like I care or make her feel like I still care. Mm-hmm. So it's extremely important for us to be aware of the relationships between the things that we face, the beliefs we have about it, and then the actions that we do take. Mm-hmm. Because when you were able to switch that thought process to, oh, I went through this in the past, you should be able to handle it to, man, I'm glad he still feels that way about me. Mm-hmm. Then I think that's when things change, because then we started putting together a plan where it's, okay, let's make sure that we're cutting out time for each other, right? To focus on each other. Because I think what a lot of couples do is, especially moms, they think if they direct their attention and energy anywhere else, they're being a bad mom. Mm-hmm. Because they're trying so hard to be a good mom that everything else can wait. Mm-hmm. Not understanding that when you pour in your relationship, you're actually pouring into your child as well, because they're going to benefit from the love and affection of the relationship and the environment that you create for them.
Yeah, I think that's very true. I think, and we unfortunately learned that the hard way, but we learned it. And I think it's just important for us to, I think it's important for us to discuss these topics. Mine as well, you guys.
What?
I've been trying to keep it cool this whole time, but if I sound kind of crazy, it's because these braces is bothering you, girl. We had a little moment. I had hit my lip.
But that was when we was doing our Friday quickie last week, right?
Our quickie, I hit my lip on the headphones, smacked me in my lip, and I done had a little sore that's been rubbing against my braces from getting hit, a cut on my lip. Yeah, you guys. So I'm trying to get it right. My words are slurring all together, bear with me. But I think this whole conversation is important because, like I said, we were able to learn from our mistakes so that we can be able to share our experiences with other people, so that when topics, like you said, when you are on the internet and you see discussions or things being said where it's just like a lot of people are looking at it like, what are you talking about? Like, this just makes no sense. But in reality, it makes sense to a lot of people out there. And I think having these conversations is so important so that you can open those individuals' eyes who are just like closed-minded to say, that can't be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So like we say all the time, man, this is not something, marriage is not something that you should experiment with. It is something that you need to be knowledgeable about. Right? So that you can put yourself in the best situation. You can put your family in the best situation. You can put your union in the best situation to be successful. Because I'm going to say it again. We say it all the time, that the family is the foundation to society. Mm-hmm. If we get things right within our own household, if we're teaching our kids the right values, then they're going to go out into the world and be productive people. Which is going to create a productive society, right? So it's our job to do the due diligence to understand what it takes in order to have relationships that flourishes, the marriages that flourish. That's our responsibility. It's nobody else's responsibility. This is not something that you can just wing it. Mm-hmm. You have to be intentional. You have to be focused, right? You have to put, like we said in the last episode, that determined effort every single day to be the best husband, wife, mother, father that you can possibly be, because if things don't go right in the house, it's not going to go right out there. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I appreciate, I think, what was her name? Heather? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Heather Rose, for posting that, because it's a conversation. It's a topic that need to be talked about. And if you ever want to come on this podcast, hopefully you already listened to it and you want to discuss that topic even more, like, we're open door. Like, reach out to us, because I think the more we talk about this, the more we can learn, the more we can grow as a community. Because when we don't, people feel isolated. They feel like they're the only ones going through it. They feel like they're the only couple or marriage that's going through this, when it's not true. Like, we all go through our go-throughs, but we have to come to a point where we're not ashamed of what we're going through. Like, we'll rather grow from our experience and grow from talking about it rather than suffer in silence.
Yeah, absolutely. So we hope you guys were able to enjoy and take something from this episode. Until next time, you guys, keep it real.
Yes, sir.